Hello and welcome to Being Free from Anxiety. My name is Emma Upton and I'm here to spill all the tea on what it means to live a life without anxiety. When we don't have anxiety, we know who we're here to be, what we're here to do, and then our unique body of awesome work gets to flow through and we get to have the best time. It's like I've literally got cake here. It's like eating cake and drinking tea. So let's dive in together to this episode. Cheers! Hello and welcome to Mind on Mute Monday, where in this episode 17, we're going to be looking at why we worry. For my whole life, I was like, oh, Emma, she's just a bit of a worrier. And I was like, oh, that's just what this is, and so it repeated. What I want us to do, if you come into a live, if you're watching a podcast, because I download these and use them as a podcast, whatever day it is, so each day has a sensory element to it. I want you to see the pattern of this. You can get them, like, if this floats your boat, I've got some free resources so you'll just know what day it is and what sense, because what this work is all about is doing the conscious brain work, sitting here, being together, spilling the tea, having a moment. But whilst we're doing that, like I have my mint tea, I have my greens. Today is Mint Monday. I have my mint tin here, like doing this work, having these conversations, consciously doing this, but whilst having the sensory stimulants around us, it takes us into the unconscious. So today is Mind on Mute Monday. It's greens, it's mints. If you're watching this on a replay, if you're watching, go get something green, go get something mint. So whilst you're submerging yourself in this conversation, it's going into deeper levels. It is going into a depth of you that you can't consciously access. We try and change our thoughts with thoughts. We try and think our way into our work, into our life's work, into our purpose, into who we're here to be and what we're here to do. It doesn't work that way. That's just torment. What we get to do is take it beyond our conscious thoughts whilst we're having conversations, whilst we're doing the work, whilst we're listening, whilst we're reading, whilst we're learning, but it takes it deeper so that it will be happening at a deeper level that we don't even cognitively need to bring attention to. So today's green, today's mint. I hope you're in your greens. I hope there's something minty. Shove a chewing gum in as we're discussing this idea of worry. Worry was my identity for a long time. Worry was, oh, Emma's just a worrier. And I wasn't at peace with it, but I'd made acceptance that the way I felt about life, always anticipating, something going wrong, always thinking something bad's going to happen, always like that kind of worrying and over preparing and over analyzing and thinking about all the worst case scenarios and trying to plan my life so that those things didn't happen. That was just what happened to that was the way that life went for me for a very long time. Why? When I started to get curious about, well, why then? Not when I stopped my brain wanting to leap to those places and be like, oh, I'm just going to figure this out. And I started to say, well, why is my brain, watching my brain, why does it want to do that? Oh, it wants to control. It wants to control and it wants to try and figure it all out. Interesting. I started to create this distance, and Triggered Tuesday and the oranges and the tans are what helps us create that distance more so. But we're always looking for that distance between when our brain is doing something that is unhelpful, but it's done it for so long that we just accept that as the way that we think. So for me, it was like, oh, I worry all of the time. I don't even get rest when I'm asleep. I have night terrors, waking experiences where I would not know if I was asleep or if I was awake, and I'd be wandering around the house like screaming, waking my husband up, being like, this is I was tormented 24/7. So I started to say, well, is this working? No. But do I know what to do about it? No. Sensory hacks. Remember, you don't need to do the doing. You just need to be listening and doing the work around it. What if I start to look at my body as this processing system? So this thing at the top that is having the thoughts that then stimulates everything else that goes after it. So the thought of, oh my God, I'm really worried about this thing. The body creates a chemical response to that thought because it's literally the job of the brain to communicate with the rest of the system. Oh, something's wrong We need to figure this out. We need adrenaline. We need this influx of energy or chemicals racing through our body to be able to make us respond to what you're worried about. So we get into this thinking thought loop cycle of the thought stimulating the thing, communicating with the body, releasing the chemicals, the hormones, the energy, so that then the body responds, and then the body's like, oh my God, like I'm there, we're doing it. And then the brain's like, oh my God, I feel like hell. What's going on? And it just gets bigger and bigger. So if you can identify with the idea of stress, anxiety, worry, that franticness underneath everything, strip it back. That's what I do all of the time, because my brain was in that habit for a good 30 years. It wants to go back there all of the time. So my job is to be on red alert. Not red alert like, oh my God, there's a threat, like it was before. Like, oh, where's my brain being an absolute moron and stopping me from being who I'm here to be, so what I'm here to do gets to flow through. Like, where is that happening in my world? I'm going to be on the lookout for it. And when I started to see it as this automated system of the thought leads to the feeling. So if I'm feeling something that I don't want to be feeling, maybe I can change my thought around it, and not by trying to platform with thought, with an energy of, I see this cycle and it's not working for me. I wonder if I can create some distance and look in on it a bit clearer. That's it. What the brain wants to do, or what Bob wants to do, where his ears up that corner, what Bob wants to do is grab hold of it, being like, you can see this thought is problematic, like this thought is causing you a problem. Let's think about it. Let's think it through. Let's figure it out. Let's problem solve it. Let's make sure we've got all the steps so that we can problem solve it. That is just continuing that thought feeling loop cycle, and we get stuck. What I do when I feel my Bob, if I'm chewing on my mint, if I spot something green and I'm like, where's my Bob? Usually swinging on a tree from the thought, swinging through the trees and being like, oh my God, the worst case thing's going to happen. It's going to be awful. Let's not bother. That's what the Bob always wants to get back to. Let's not bother. Let's just go back to the emotional safe house. It's just familiar. It's the thing that we know. Let's just sit here. Instead, I catch him mid-swing, be like, there's the thought. Oh, there's a weird feeling in my belly. That weird feeling was my neutral feeling before. Like I'd look for it being like, oh, that means I'm worried. That means that I'm Emma. That means that my life's all staying the same. That's good. I would actively seek it out. And now if it comes up, I'm like, oh, weird. There's a feeling in my body that doesn't feel good. And the brain's like, I'll figure it out for you. I'll work it out. Just give me a minute and I'll figure it out. And Bob's like, yeah, I'm going to get you straight back to the emotional safe house. And we're not going to do anything different with our life. Cool. Awesome. Our job is to notice, that is not the feeling I want inside my body. I wonder what my thoughts are right now. Oh, I'm agonizing over this thing that I feel like I need the answer to, because Bob's desperate for an answer. Let me figure it out. He'll never find one. Watch him. Never, ever settles. Maybe this, maybe this, maybe this, maybe this. All the way back to what we know. Oh, I can see these thoughts. I can see how much I want to figure it out. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to not. I'm going to notice this feeling inside my body. And I'm going to say, I wonder what this is. Like literally out loud like a psychopath. I wonder what this is. And not with the answer. I'm not anticipating and expecting an answer in that moment. What I'm doing is I'm disturbing Bob on his tree journey of la 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 la, let's go back to what you know, what's familiar. I've confused this with safe, dooby-doo-da-day. It's like, no. Nope. I don't want to go back there anymore. You know what? I don't know how to change my thought right now, but you know what I can do? I can notice the feeling that's happening in my body, and I can check in with what was the thought that triggered that feeling. Then Frances comes in with the judgment of what all of that means, doesn't she? It always goes from the thought, then the feeling, notice the feeling, and then the judgment. Frances comes in and goes, well, this is what that means for you. I'm on the lookout for those three, Bob, Toad, Frances, all of the time. What's the thought? What's the feeling? What feeling has it triggered? What chemicals are surging through my body because of that thought? And then what is the judgment that's being placed on top of it all, watching out for those three things all of the time, and asking myself the question, do I want to engage in this? Like, what is this about? Without, and this is so important, without the expectation that I am going to know in that moment how to do it differently. That's the bit we struggle with, the human brain. That's what we struggle with. We think, oh, if I'm seeing this now, I have to know what to do with it in this moment so I can change it, so I can move on and make my life's work better. And what actually needs to happen is, oh, I see this. I can see that this isn't helpful for me. I don't want it to be this anymore. I don't know what to do with it, and that can feel frustrating and annoying, and any emotion is perfect. And it feels all of those things, but you know what? Seeing it means that I'm actively changing it, and that is a good thing. That is enough for me right now, because if we do that often enough, we create this space. And it's in that space that we can then go, we get a moment of, oh my God, I've been doing this way my whole life. But it's not that way. It's this. And that moment comes through and it is crystal clear. There's no back and forth on it. You know it's Bob if you're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like, should I, shouldn't I, watch? You know if you can make enough space around here swinging, trying to get you back to the same place, you know it's a moment of, oh, it's this. Now, don't mishear me here. Those moments of, oh, it's this, usually feel like, oh, holy shit, it's this. Oh, God, it's this. But you're clear. But it doesn't, very rarely does that moment feel comfortable. Most often that moment is a calling to rise, a calling to have a difficult conversation with somebody, a calling to put up a boundary, a calling to make an investment, make a move in your life for your business that you know you've been being called to do, but you keep putting it off. It's that moment of, I know it's this. You still have about 5 seconds from that moment before Bob comes in and swoops you up again and starts swinging, and you're back to thinking it through. And then you're lost back in the monkeying of it all. Our work is to create the distance, feel that, oh God, it's this. And to move. If I can say anything to anybody, the reason that I am doing what I'm doing is because I move. I feel that, and then I'm like, I've got the clarity, like I know this is the direction. I don't know the full picture, because we can never know the full picture. That's against the rules of this world. But I know enough of the picture to know it's kind of that direction, and I have this feeling I'm meant to move towards that. And I don't want to, because we want to go back to the safe house and shut the safe door and lock ourselves in. Like, that is the nature of being human. The people who find out who they truly are and the work they're here to do, and then it all gets to flow through, are the people that in that moment they feel that resistance. They notice that they want to be dragged back to that emotional safe house. It's the same thing over and over again. And they go, I'm not going to do it. When we look at our brain in this way, when we're using this sensory stimulant piggyback hack system of just here, right here now, listening, chewing your gum, noticing the mint flavour, the smell of the mint, drinking your mint tea, wearing the greens. When we're doing this work and having these conversations about these things, Bob is shitting himself right now, if I'm being perfectly honest. He's like, no, she's onto me. No! And it comes deeper. So we've had this conversation with the mint stimulants. It's going to be going deeper. So through the course of today, when you're noticing those green things, when you're tasting that mint, when you're brushing your teeth tonight, check in. Where's that Bob inside my brain? Is he leading me back to the same emotional safe house feeling again and again and again and again? Worry is just that. It is the fact that for so long, Bob has swung through the trees. Something's happened, a thought has happened. It's triggered a chemical inside you that feels rubbish. And Francis has come in and stamped, well, that's anxiety, that's worry. And then that whole situation takes you back to that emotional safe house because it feels rubbish, doesn't it? Feeling rubbish feels rubbish. We want to be safe at home with a brew. Takes us back there, being like, come on, let's just keep it all as it was. We'll stay in the safe house and we'll be safe. That ain't true. Create that distance. Notice that Bob bouncing around these notions and these ideas, And that is enough. And Bob will say, no, it's not. We need to figure it out. We need to know what we need to do right now for you to move forward in your life. Like, you can't just see it. That's not enough. That's not enough. That's not changing your life. What if it is? What if that's everything? What if listening to that voice and noticing it and how it's saying that that's not enough? What if that is the work? And you do that alongside your sensory stimulants, so it takes it into a deeper level. What if that is everything? How cool would that be? What if that is enough, and every time you hear your brain telling you it's not, you go, but it is. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Over and over again. Watching your brain, watching the monkey, using your mints, using your greens to watch and notice again and again. As many times as you see green or you taste mint, you're like, where's my Bob? Oh, he's trying to take me back to the same place. Of course he is. What a wally. Oh, and now he wants me to think it through. This guy, he's an God love him. You can't get rid of him. He's here to stay. You have a human brain until the day we cease to exist. He's sticking around. Notice him. Laugh at him. Be like, Bob, you absolute knob with a massive gob. No, thank you. Thank you for being here. Go get those mints on. Go look where that monkey is, because he's monkeying around and he's keeping our lives the same, and we're here for more. We're here to expand into the universe and do the most magical work. So go spot Bob. Much love. Happy